Back live tonight here on In Focus. Credit rating agency Moody's has downgraded City of Ekurhuleni to junk status and issued a warning to Tshwane Metro. In a statement, both metro municipalities failed to submit audited financial statements to the JSE by the 29th of February deadline. Now, for more on this, we are now joined by the Deputy Corporate Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister, Pax Dau. Deputy Minister, good evening and thank you very much for coming on.
Good evening, Tabo, and thank you very much for inviting me.
It's another arm of government. Of course, we've got three spheres, national, provincial, and local. But as Cogta, I'm sure you are offering support and quite concerned because in some instances we see national intervening with a section, I think it's a section 150, at particular local municipalities. Let's start firstly at the rating of municipalities by rating agencies. How significant it is and a downgrade of this nature having an impact on that?
Well, ratings of municipal entities are crucial to the extent that they determine the price at which the municipalities are able to raise bonds and loans, and their credit is determined by the different asset managers and banks that would either buy into the bonds of the municipality or lend directly to the municipality. Typically what happens in a municipality is that, particularly in our metros, is that they have three sources of financing infrastructure. The first would be transfers from national government, and the other two are direct revenues of the municipality. Firstly, surpluses generated by the municipality are invested in infrastructure, and thirdly, municipalities go to the debt capital markets to raise loans and bonds to be able to invest in infrastructure and to match the lifespan of their assets to the liability. So it becomes a prudent way in which municipalities are able to finance their infrastructure. It is in relation to these loans and bonds that credit rating agencies place a rating on a municipality and provides guidance on those that trade with the municipality on the sort of pricing that they would give to procure, or rather to loan the municipality in many instances.
Yeah. Now, you've been a mayor before, and I'm sure you'd understand this a little bit better. What could actually have been the reason why there is this public spat between a municipality and the Auditor-General, so much so that even Moody's is looking at this and saying, well, you're failing to give us audited financials, and so it brings questions around the financial management of the municipality. We are worried about the liquidity, and we are worried about your ability to manage your finances. And where we sit right now, we don't even see national coming in to give you a bailout.
Well, firstly, the municipality has, in terms of its obligations to its bondholders or the people that would loan it money, it has an obligation to give audited financial statements within a prescribed period. In this instance, it's 7 months, and it is that threat that the Auditor-General's report has not been provided to Council, has not been provided to the JSE, that makes it difficult for those that have loaned money to the municipality to determine how to trade on the instrument that they have in that municipality. It is thus important that the municipality goes through the due processes of submitting their annual financial statements to the Auditor-General, of ensuring that these are audited on time, and of submitting the audited financial statements to Council and to the JSE and other organizations. And it is that has placed the risk on Ekurhuleni. It is the non-submission, because non-submission generally makes it difficult for anybody that trades with you to know what the status of the municipality is and to know how to trade on your instruments, because different companies trade the bonds themselves. So they would buy and sell bonds on the debt capital market, and depending on how you're performing, they would be able to indicate the price at which they are able to trade those instruments. So in that instance, that is the greatest risk that is there to the municipality. The information we have at our disposal at this stage is that Ekurhuleni in particular has said that they are disputing some of the findings of the Auditor-General, and they've appealed the findings of the Auditor-General, and thus their inability to submit the annual financial statements. Of course, until we see the actual final report, it's very difficult to say these are the actual findings of the Auditor-General that have caused the municipality to take a huge risk such as this that places it on alert, so to say, in relation to the debt capital markets.
So why would Moody's not want to await that particular process? Because we believe now the municipality and the Auditor-General could have found themselves. I think there's been a process where the Auditor-General has come back to them on the issues that they needed to fix, and they've gone back and forth. But they're at a stage where they've found each other, and soon that audit report is going to be presented to Council.
So the JSE has said to the municipalities, you have failed to comply in line with the covenants that we have with you or the bondholders have with you. So we are giving you a month in which to remedy the situation and or to explain yourself so that we are able to justify whether the reasons are adequate. And if the reasons are not adequate, there is a risk of suspension of your bonds from a trading point of view. You never really want to reach that situation, and it is thus that national government has stepped in, is engaging with the provincial government to say what is happening in Tshwane, what is happening in Ekurhuleni, and how do we avert a situation where they get to a point of default. Because a point of default is a high-risk situation, because any of essentially the people that have loaned you money can be able to recall their bond and say, well, you have not complied with the requirements of the JSE, you have not complied with the requirements of the covenants that we have with you, therefore we cannot continue to trade with you. So it is a high-risk situation, and thus they need to urgently intervene. And that's the action that's been taken both by National Treasury, by Cogta, to ensure that we're able to, one, establish what the way forward is, and to determine what support is required to avert what could be a crisis.
Yeah. How do you intervene in the midst of the politics? But because one, you've got this loose government of local unity that is going on there, where you have one party saying the other party is arrogant. They don't even care, for example, to bring something like an adjustment budget before the necessary committee that needs to look at these things. And they are just arrogantly attacking the Auditor-General, who they are supposed to go and present books to, and so on and so forth. So there's the political tension and the political conflict that is going on here. And here comes a government of the ANC at national level also saying, we want to intervene. How much of that is going to end up being a political circus where they're saying, well, this thing of intervention is just political. There's nothing wrong here in Ekurhuleni.
We have a statutory duty to ensure that local government functions, and we have a statutory duty to ensure that we intervene when there is need and requirement to intervene. It is an intervention that we do not take lightly. You know, national government has only directly intervened in 3 instances, because national government only intervenes in situations where the provincial government has not intervened, because the first port of call in terms of intervention is provincial government. So we don't start on the basis that, well, we're going to intervene. We start on the basis that, give us the facts, let's engage on the facts, let's find solutions, let's provide support to you. But in instances where we have to intervene on behalf of the people of that city, we have a duty to do that. And I don't think that that should be a particular issue that would prevent us from intervening because there is a coalition government in Ekurhuleni, or because there is an opposition-led government in the city of Tshwane. We would act in line with our obligations to the Constitution and to the legislation that governs us.
Yeah, I mean, 2020, you know, you tried this thing. The MEC wanted to put Tshwane under administration. They took him to court. The court said, no, you can't do that thing. So how are you going to approach that, being a statutory body as you are?
And the court said in relation to the Gauteng and Tshwane Metro that there is an obligation on the MEC to undertake processes of consultation before the point of reaching the point of dissolution of the municipality. So it is a process. It wasn't a matter of the merit about the rights and obligations of a provincial and national government to intervene whenever it is necessary. The court simply said you have to go through particular processes before you get there. But in this instance, we're not even there. We're at the point of saying there is a potential crisis and we're going to have to come in, get the reports, come in, resolve the problem. But where there is instances where we need to invoke certain sections of legislation to enable us to act swiftly, we certainly would be able to do that. But that's not our starting point at this stage. At this stage, it is fact-finding, get all the information, engage with the province. And we wouldn't come in before even engaging with the province, because the obligation is on the province to come in first, and we provide additional support. But where the province hasn't come in, and we determine that the province has not been able to or willing to intervene, because that's what the Constitution says. It says national government comes in when a province has not been able to or willing to intervene. So that would be the last call that we would have to make at a particular point. But that's not, as I said, our starting point at this stage.
And the question then would be, this is quite unnecessary. I mean, for the fact that it even gets to the point of the JSE and the rating agencies then get a hold of it, and we are now at this stage where the downgrade is already in place. Do you think this could have been done better? And what would have been a better approach to this?
It certainly could have been done better. I think that there is an issue about how you engage with the audit outcomes, the facts before the auditors, what they have determined, and how to engage with appealing and or dealing with disputes with the Auditor-General. Part of the obligation, I think, is to also inform all other agencies of the action that you take so that they are not taken by surprise. So it is partly information sharing, but it's also about ensuring that there's compliance on time. So let me make a comparison, and we're dealing with two situations that are facing us in Gauteng in particular. We have a situation in Ekurhuleni that says, yes, the municipality has submitted their annual financial statements. The Auditor-General has audited them, but they are unhappy with the audit. And they are disputing that, and they've handled the matter in a particular way. And the ratings agencies and the JSE have said, no, but you're dealing with it wrongly. Therefore, it justifies that you come in. We have a situation in Tshwane where the municipality has not submitted on time. Therefore, the annual financial statements have not been audited on time and not submitted. And the ratings agencies have said, look, we are placing you on notice of a possible downgrade, which is the similar situation in Ekurhuleni. Yeah. But the ratings agencies have also said, or the JSE, in fact, in this instance have said, we're giving you a timeline. If within this timeline you have not acted appropriately and or taken appropriate action to mitigate this problem, or at least to clarify what the situation is, then we have no choice but to make certain decisions, which is to place the municipality on notice. And both these situations are worrying situations, because we shouldn't get ourselves to the point where annual financial statements, at least in the metros, are generated on time, submitted on time, and that there is adequate engagement between the administration and the auditors to ensure that the information that is presented to the reader of the annual financial statement has credibility. And that is what is in dispute at this stage. But I cannot at this point talk on the merits of what the municipality might have raised, but I'm talking about the process, so to say.
Yes.
And suggesting that we do need to mitigate getting ourselves into this situation going forward.
So in that matter with Gauteng and Tshwane, the courts then said, look, the MEC can invoke his powers. It's not national, it's province, in terms of item 14, subsection 4 of Schedule 1 of the Systems Act, by appointing a person or a committee to investigate the cause, or in that particular case, of a deadlock within a municipal council. Would something of that nature then be the recommendation, I suppose, from national at this point, a person or a committee to investigate what could have been the cause of this late submission?
It could be, but I don't want to speculate on what the actual action will be. Minister Nkadimeng, as Minister of Cogta, has written to MEC Mzikumalo in Gauteng to indicate concerns with regards to, in particular, the Tshwane situation that emerged much earlier. We similarly are engaging with Ekurhuleni about and said to the provincial government, give us a report about the happenings in council last week to the extent that they impact on governance in the municipality. And more recently, of course, we've agreed that we need to now follow up on the rating situation. But our starting point is to engage with the provincial government and to work with them in supporting the municipalities. And at the point at which the provincial government determines that it needs to act in a particular way, we will be close to the process, because we can't be far away from the process, particularly as you deal with metropolitan municipalities and the extent to which there is a risk on bonds and the overall functionality of the municipal bond market. We have a duty to ensure that we protect both the municipality and the entire market, so to say, to ensure that municipalities continue to be able to raise loans and bonds from the debt capital markets and are able to invest prudently in their infrastructure.
Maybe as a parting shot, do you think this again is a symptom, so to speak, of the dysfunctionality of our infancy in the formation of coalition governance?
I think you've got it spot on. I think we've all witnessed a situation where, in particular in our metros, there's been a deterioration of governance, of financial performance, and a deterioration of service delivery as a result of the advent of coalition government. So if you do an analysis, there is almost a correlation from the time at which we've witnessed the deterioration to the existence of coalition governments. And it's something that we're conscious of, but that's why we're also intervening as national government through amending legislation to enable us to govern coalition governments more tightly. And I don't think people always appreciate what the potential risks could be if these matters are not handled maturely and conscientiously, to the extent that we do not impact negatively on people and service delivery.
DM, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on, the Deputy Minister for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs.